When you think of car sports games, there's one name that immediately springs to mind. With the incredible success of Rocket League, it is surprising that it's taken so long for other developers to attempt a car sports game of their own. However, we now have a game that is a serious contender to Rocket League's crown. Developed by Hugecalf Studios, Turbo Golf Racing is now out on Steam Early Access and Xbox Game Preview. This does mean it's still early in development, but we here at RacingGames wanted to check it out and give our thoughts. I'm Mark from RacingGames, and here is our review of Turbo Golf Racing. As the name implies, Turbo Golf Racing is a racing game combining cars with golf. Up to 8 players tried to knock their ball into each hole first in a frantic race to the finish, while dodging obstacles. The fastest to the hole wins, and there are 3 holes in each round. Points are awarded on each hole, with the highest score after 3 holes winning. It really is as simple as it sounds. Each round lasts around 5 minutes, making Turbo Golf Racing perfect to pick up and play for a quick session, or multiple rounds lasting several hours. Up to 8 giant balls flying in the air at the same time can be distracting at first. Crucially, however, contact with other cars and balls is disabled to prevent matches from getting too chaotic. Although saying that, each hole is littered with missiles you can pick up and fire at your opponents, so there is still some chaos. Of course, online focused games need an active player base to thrive. Fortunately, Turbo Golf Racing is off to a strong start in this regard. Finding a full match with 8 players doesn't take long, and starting an online game is swift and easy. There were a few connection issues at launch, but these have since been resolved. Turbo Golf Racing will always draw comparisons with Rocket League, but besides hitting a ball with a rocket car into a target, there are several aspects that make Turbo Golf Racing stand out. Let's take a look at those now. Before we move on, have you subscribed to RacingGames yet? Just one click and you're on the RacingGames grid. Oh, and hit that notification bell too so you never miss an upload. Alright, on with the video. First up are the power cores that unlock special abilities. You can equip 1 active and up to 2 passive cores for each car. Passive cores are permanently activated and can increase the size of the ball, make it bouncier, or add more spin. Active cores, on the other hand, are manually activated and have a cooldown period. The magnetized core, for example, pulls the ball towards your car, while shock creates a shockwave that pushes the ball away from your car. While you can't directly attack opponents with power cores, the course missiles are perfect to take out your opponents, and for those who prefer defense to offense, there are also shields to block attacks. Finding the best combinations is key, as well as finding the right balance between attacking your opponents versus just going for the hole and hoping you don't get hit. I found myself rarely going off route to find a missile, and I also found myself very rarely targeted, so perhaps it's fair to say the missiles are an optional game mechanic rather than a core component of the game. One other thing to note though is the ball itself can also collect missiles and shields for you, so it is possible to aim a shot via a pickup and still benefit. The ball physics are also very different when compared to Rocket League. One of Turbo Golf Racing's unique aspects is ball spin. As a former golfer in my youth, I can attest that the spin on the ball is crucial when attempting certain shots, and Hugecalf Studios have done a good job adding this to the game. Hitting the ball at an angle adds spin to the ball rather than changes its direction like in Rocket League. The further to the edge you hit the ball, the more spin you apply. Now this can become problematic when you're right next to the hole and end up misjudging a shot, but for the most part, it's a neat way to get the ball to behave correctly in a golf game, and that gets a big thumbs up from us. The overall ball physics are a bit funny, and I'll get to that shortly, but before that, let's take a quick look at some of the other drawbacks of the game. First, let's talk tutorials. Turbo Golf Racing's introductory tutorial is very brief, to the point where it doesn't really teach you much about the game beyond hitting the ball. I was never shown how missiles worked, how to apply spin to the ball, or even the fact that you can dip or raise the front of your car to affect shot height. These are all things I learned on the courses themselves, and we do feel as though each of these areas of the game should have their own tutorial level for new players to learn the game mechanics. Then there's the lack of AI. Despite being a predominantly online game, Turbo Golf Racing does have a campaign mode. It's effectively a practice mode with 30 holes to complete, awarding up to 3 stars depending on your time. There is a progression system in place, where later levels need to be unlocked, but there's no AI to compete against, meaning you're always out on the course solo. Turbo Golf Racing is at its best when played with others, so adding AI bots would enable players to practice with opponents before making the jump online. AI bots could even help populate servers with lower player numbers, keeping each lobby full rather than having games with only a handful of players competing. Hopefully Hugecalf Studios can flesh out the solo campaign in future updates, but we do have to say having something else to do when taking a breather from online play is a nice touch. Finally, we have the nitpicks. The controls for the most part are incredibly responsive, but there were times where we found them perhaps a little too sensitive, missing the ball when turning too sharply, or finding ourselves boosting the wrong way when flipping the car over. There's also the fact the ball seems really selective at times. You'd expect the ball to roll back down a slope, especially when rolling down that slope would lead to an excellent hole out, but that's not always the case. The ball seems to stick to slopes like glue, no matter how steep, meaning you can't just play a shot past the hole and watch it roll back again. Again, as a former golfer, this annoys me way more than it should, as I just want to recreate Tiger Woods' famous shot at the Masters. The final criticism is the game does feel devoid of content at times. I've left this one until last as the game is in early access, so it's understandable that the number of holes, backdrops and unlockables is limited right now. I did find myself playing the same holes over and over in the time I spent playing, but considering it's golf, you never play the same shot twice, so each time I replayed a hole it was always different. We do anticipate Hugecalf Studios will eventually add more content, as they have stated they expect the game to be in early access for around 12 months, so we'll keep you all updated as to when this happens. For now though, let's go into some final thoughts. The big question when it comes to Turbo Golf Racing is how it compares to Rocket League. Overall, the two are different enough to provide different experiences, and I must admit I enjoy playing Turbo Golf Racing more. Despite my love for football, I find the racing aspect much more enjoyable, plus the 3-hole system means you can have a dud hole without ruining your overall chances. Part of Rocket League's success can be attributed to the fact it was free on PlayStation Plus at launch, and with Turbo Golf Racing available on Game Pass, it could find similar success if it can retain a loyal player base. Really, the only similarity between the two games is the fact you hit a ball with a car. Beyond that, Turbo Golf Racing does stand alone, and in my opinion really stakes a claim as being the best car sports game out there, even at this early stage. And on that massive statement, I'm going to wrap things up here. Have you been enjoying Turbo Golf Racing? Are you acing the courses, or are you getting stuck in the rough? Let us know in the comments below. For now though, thanks for watching. I've been Mark from RacingGames. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and also check out our written review from our own Martin Bigg to see his thoughts. And now I'm off for another go on the course. I might use a driver for this shot. Get it? Driver. Because it's a car? Oh, forget it.